Welcome to Myers-Briggs for Midlife Career Changers. Today we'll be looking at the ISTP type and what mid-career ISTPs require in order for their careers to be satisfying. Career Counsellor and Myers-Briggs Master Practitioner Edythe Richards is here, and she'll provide an overview of this type as it relates to work, along with a brief mention of the cognitive functions, which again are the middle two letters, ISTP strengths and weaknesses, and finally, possible career paths and recommendations for this type. Let's start with the overview first, please, Edythe.
ISTP stands for introverted, meaning they prefer the inner world rather than the external world. Sensing, they receive concrete information from their five senses before receiving information on the abstract big picture world. Thinking, they make decisions objectively, not subjectively. And perceiving, they prefer to live in a flexible, adaptable way instead of a structured way. People with this type are often misunderstood and underestimated. ISTPs are realists and risk takers who apply expediency and reasoning as they adapt to situations in their environments. They respond quickly to facts, ensuring the odds of success are in their favor. They don't like to be tied down, and they'll have a difficult time operating within tight schedules and structures. They'd rather be doing than planning.
It sounds as though these folks are realists who don't like to waste a lot of time.
Right. They tend to be excellent problem solvers because they can cut through the red tape that others often think is impossible to get through. They tend to be better independent workers than team players, and they'll be at their best when they're allowed to solve problems in their own way. They're very straightforward in doing so, and they'll try anything once. If it works, they'll keep on doing it. If not, they'll stop.
Well, you can't get any more straightforward than that.
No, you can't. In fact, that's how ISTPs approach life. This quality really makes them the original jacks of all trades. On the other hand, whatever it is that they're interested in is going to take precedence over the assigned tasks that are perceived as boring or impractical. But in situations that excite them, ISTPs work with great accuracy and precision. They also have this take charge attitude in their lives and in their interests. I think of ISTPs as both pragmatists and gamblers, playing each hand as it's dealt and taking advantage of opportunities as they arise.
Let's talk about the cognitive functions, which are the two middle letters for the ISTP.
So the dominant function for ISTPs is introverted thinking. This is a decision-making process that's all about attaining a logical understanding of how things work. ISTPs want to make sure that things make sense to them. How objects work, do they logically make sense, and the accuracy and consistency of objects and ideas. The secondary or auxiliary function for ISTPs is extroverted sensing, which is an information gathering process focusing on the current sensory experience. In using this function, ISTPs absorb information from their immediate environment, and they're keenly aware of their surroundings, the details of how things look, sound, feel, taste, and smell. People who use this function are doers, often movers and shakers, who can quickly find practical solutions to immediate problems.
How do ISTPs use those two functions together in their careers?
At their best, ISTPs are going to be reacting to problems or crises, and they'll need very little preparation to do so. They'll also do best in a work environment that's unstructured, where they can be independent. An ISTP client I worked with previously was in the military special forces and really enjoyed that adrenaline rush that came from a combat role in a war zone. His natural preferences supported that job too. Another ISTP woman I know is a case manager, and the special skills she brings to that role include this rational thinking, helping her clients to see the logic behind their decisions. She also has a really impressive way of cutting through their BS, pardon the language, without being long-winded or extremely vocal. Yet another ISTP I know has his own production business, and this gives him the freedom to work on the projects he wants to, using great mechanical ability, which is something many ISTPs are known for.
Interesting. Let's talk about some of the other strengths of the ISTP type.
First is a strength we've already mentioned, that they are expedient and practical. ISTPs are great troubleshooters who get things done in spite of the rules, not because of the rules. They're generally not rule followers, so to speak. Second, ISTPs are perhaps the most independent of the 16 types. They're self-sufficient and unpretentious. ISTPs are all about individual rights and allowing each person his or her own space, individuality, and freedom. Third, observant and tactical. ISTPs are extremely observant and nothing gets past them. They're also realistic in their assessments and trust hard facts they've gained through personal experience. They're often very skilled with their hands and make real contributions in tangible ways, with often sudden drives to fix something as opposed to someone when it's broken.
So ISTPs are really down to earth and good with mechanical or tangible things. And they also sound like they're thrill seekers. Would that be fair to say?
They can be, yes. So much of the ISTP's drive and gratification is related to activities traditionally associated with men. For example, contact or extreme sports, auto racing, carpentry. ISTP women may therefore have their own challenges. Those who have these tactile skills and interests may be seen by some societies, for example, as unfeminine if they act on them. Interestingly enough, ISTPs are overrepresented in athletics and high-risk activities such as piloting, skydiving, and rock climbing.
And speaking of challenges, let's talk about the downsides of being an ISTP.
Well, any strength that's taken to extremes can become a weakness, and for ISTPs, their independence could very well be it. ISTPs are intensely private. To others, this may seem like intentional aloofness, especially if they don't explain their behavior to others. Since ISTPs don't naturally place a high value on others' emotional lives, this may cause them to appear cold or insensitive to others, and it can be especially hurtful to the people who are close to them. It can also put the ISTP at risk for not developing the emotional sides of their lives. In these cases, ISTPs need to be more open to relationships with others, even when it feels unnecessary to them. Secondly, ISTPs may be prone to looking for the easy way out or taking shortcuts. They may cut corners in order to finish work quickly and skip over the planning or organizing portion of projects, preferring to get busy with the parts in which they're already proficient. A strategy to deal with this is to work on developing a step-by-step plan and putting in the necessary effort to accomplishing it. Finally, ISTPs may resist decision-making in order to keep their options open. ISTPs may appear indecisive and undirected because they're oriented to collecting new facts and details. This behavior can further be compounded when others are waiting for the ISTP's decision. Possible strategies include developing their perseverance and the ability to stay on task. When on track, ISTPs use their problem-solving strengths to respond quickly to meet the needs of the occasion.
It sounds like this type could be impatient with theoretical discussions too, and since they're difficult to get to know, I can see why they could come across as aloof or disinterested to others.
Yes, those are other challenges for this type. However, the ones I've known have great senses of humor, which tends to come in unexpected bursts. They're also more likely than other types to have what I call a sudden or spontaneous display of determination to fix whatever's wrong. They'll just do it.
So when we talk about the type development for the ISTP, is there anything else that comes to mind for you, Edythe?
The areas for development for the ISTP are related to intuition and feeling. This means that the ISTP isn't naturally going to gravitate towards theories or abstract ideas, and they're not naturally going to be empathetic. These are things that can be learned, however, and they become easier as they age and gain experience in working with different types of people.
So how does this translate into a career choice?
ISTPs prefer flexibility and impersonal dealings with others. Because they often have a technical orientation, they'll prefer to work in an environment that produces a practical product. They'll pay attention to an organization's hierarchy only to the point of learning how to bypass it if it stands in their way. ISTPs may have mastered the details of the organization, but they may rebel if it's too rigid.
Flexibility seems very important to ISTPs. How about their career paths?
The career paths most often selected by ISTPs fall into 4 categories: action-oriented careers, science and technology, business and finance, and trades. First, let's look at the action careers. Examples of this are pilot, race car driver, firefighter, or a weapons specialist. As we've already discussed, the appeal of the action-oriented careers for ISTPs is their desire not to feel confined by a lot of structure and regimentation. ISTPs work well on impulse and enjoy situations that are spontaneous and call on their ability to assess their resources and take appropriate action. They often enjoy mastery of tools or machinery, being outdoors, and being physically active. Second is technical careers. These would include computer programmer and electrical engineer, and I'm also going to include a couple medical careers here, including chiropractor and dental hygienist. ISTPs often find satisfaction in these careers because they're interested in how and why things work. They tend to be good in mechanical areas due to their keen observational powers and capacity to remember important facts and details. These careers provide them with the ability to work with their hands using sensory information. ISTP's logical analysis is best used when based upon solid facts that they themselves gather. Third is business and finance. Career choices here include securities analyst, economist, office manager, banker, and legal administrative assistant. So the appeal of business and finance careers is the ISTP's pragmatism and accuracy with numbers. They often bring order to confusing data and easily see the realities of an economic situation. They'll respond quickly and make immediate changes. The work environment, however, is extremely important. In order for it to be satisfying to the ISTP, it must allow for personal freedom and flexibility. And the final category is the trades. This includes mechanic, builder, computer repair person, automotive products retailer, commercial artist, and even a farmer. The independence and hands-on practicality of the trades appeal to the ISTP's preference for working on real and concrete tasks. They work most diligently on projects that fully absorb their interests. So if theirs is a love of sports, they'll enjoy coaching and training much more than another seemingly similar trade career. Making a career out of a hobby is an excellent strategy for an ISTP.
This is a great list. It sounds like ISTPs are either in the heart of the details, as they would be in the business or administrative type careers you mentioned, or they're out there doing hands-on activities and living in the moment.
Well, I've heard that ISTPs don't do shades of gray. In my experience, they're either full on or off, but they're quite possibly some of the most practical and efficient of the Myers-Briggs types. So that needs to be taken into consideration if they're thinking about a career change in midlife.
Good to know. Anything else you'd like to share with your listeners, Edythe?
Just a reminder that you'll find successful people of all Myers-Briggs types in all career fields. The Myers-Briggs is just one piece of the pie when considering a career path.
That's excellent. I've enjoyed learning about these ISTP types. Any final thoughts?
Much of this information is based on my own knowledge of type theory and the Myers-Briggs type indicator, and I'd also like to cite Type Talk by Otto Kroger, Do What You Are by Paul Teeger and Barbara Barron-Teeger, and Life Types by Jean Kumaro and Sandra Hirsch.
Thanks so much. Again, Edythe is a career counselor and Myers-Briggs Master Practitioner, specializing in mid-career adults. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and of course our website, where you can sign up for our newsletter at www.atopcareer.com. Feel free to share this file with your friends. Until next time. MBTI and Myers-Briggs are registered trademarks of the MBTI Trust.